cemetery headstones were vandalized, as well as all of the bomb threats around the country. And maybe you've heard the Jewish Federation of St. Louis is now running commercials thanking the community for their support. Andrew Rayfeld joins us, President and Executive Chief Officer of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. Andrew, welcome to the Big 550 KTRS.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You got it. Talk about your message here. You want to thank the community for what?
We were overwhelmed by the response and the solidarity from all areas of the region, from Jews, from Christians, from Muslims, from agnostics, from north and south of St. Louis. And what we're thanking them for is the response that really turned hate into hope, an act of violence, of desecration that really did damage to the memory of so many people. That's one of the oldest cemeteries in St. Louis. And rather than taking this in a very dark way, the community mobilized. And we at the Jewish Federation of St. Louis and one of our agencies, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the boards of those organizations said, we want to recognize what happened and reinforce that message of solidarity and unity. So many more people have come out to support our community rather than to generate a culture of fear. And we thought that was important to recognize and just say thank you.
When you say people of all faiths, how many people are you talking about? 10, 20, 100? How many people came out?
Well, the security estimates were 2,500 people. And to say that it overwhelmed what we were thinking of is an understatement. We were just bowled over by it. And it wasn't just showing up to do, for a vigil. We had an interfaith vigil at the time. We had a deacon from the Archdiocese to speak and the Mufti from the Islamic Center, as well as our rabbinic leadership. It was also to clean up the cemetery. Governor Greitens mobilized a team of volunteers to make sure that there were meaningful ways to clean up the cemetery and show respect that had been disrespected. And finally, the fundraising efforts from people all over, including some key Muslim charities around the country that had raised tens of thousands of dollars, again, to put things back in order and make whole what had been broken.
Yeah, 2,500 people. That is a lot. That's a lot of people to do anything to volunteer for it. That's amazing.
It was amazing. It really was a day of uplift. You could never imagine that something desecration like that would become a thing of beauty. But that's what it was, and that's what we felt strongly that we needed to recognize and say to the whole community, we are better than this. We are not going to let this happen. And anytime we see hate and bigotry, whether it's against Jews or Muslims or any minority, we're going to name it, we're going to condemn it, and we're going to do something about it. And that's what it was about.
It's such a great story. Also, the fact that so many Muslim communities and Muslim organizations around the country helped raise money and awareness, right? I mean, talk about love trumping hate.
That's exactly right. And we are, tomorrow night, we're going to be doing an event. I'm participating in an event. The Washington University Danforth Center on Religion and Politics has convened myself and Tarek El-Masidi, who is the head of the charity in Philadelphia that was raising the money. And we're going to be in dialogue about Muslim and Jewish community and when we agree, when we disagree, and how we move forward. And it's going to be at 7 o'clock at Graham Chapel at Washington University, and it's a dialogue between him and me. And Marie Griffith, the director, will be moderating that. We're grateful for Washington University Center for Religion and Politics for inviting us and for hosting that.
Any closer to finding out what happened or who did it or how it happened?
I get the same information that you do, and we have been listening to police officers who, I have to tell you, we're just so grateful for the law enforcement support and cooperation of our community and all communities. They're working hard at it. I haven't received any new information, and so you're probably going to get the information before I will.
Yeah, Andrew Rayfield, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. Also, we should mention Mike Pence made a special trip into St. Louis to assess what happened.
Well, he did. He stopped by, and again, that was completely unexpected. But it was good to have to see a member of the national administration stand up. And we stood on the back of a pickup truck in the cemetery. It was him, it was Governor Greitens, it was Anita Feigenbaum, the director of Chesed Shalem Cemetery, who's done an outstanding job. And we stood in the back of that pickup truck, and to hear him denounce anti-Semitism and hate and bigotry of any kind, as I said, you name it, you condemn it, you do something about it. He named it, he condemned it, and now we're going to work hard together to make sure that we're all doing something about it.
Andrew, great message. Thanks for checking in, and you're always welcome here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the concern.
You got it. Andrew Rayfield with us, is President and Chief Executive Officer of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis, and talking about that vandalism back on February 20th. 8:10 here, Big 550, K.